On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about the sciences by noted scientists. Sleep.
Oh, I'm sure they've done their experiments.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're going back to 2018 for the comeback album from legendary stoner metal band Sleep.
Stoner Doom.
Doom. Yeah. Stoner metal is doom
Just
metal.
Doom metal.
It's basically what it is. But it came out a couple years ago after a very long recording hiatus from them. And happy to be talking about it because it's a neat album and they're a band with a very neat story. I guess there's been there's been a massive amount of stuff happening in the world as of the time of this recording.
Yeah.
If you're listening back to this years later, I guess this sort of dates the podcast. But it's been been a stressful couple of months, and it's been a stressful last week for the country. And
right.
I don't know. I mean, we're just two nerdy dipshits who like to talk about metal. So
something else. Let's talk about something else for a minute.
Yeah. So if you're out there, be safe and love each other. That's what I'll say to that. Be sure to love each other.
Yeah. Get to the pit and try to love someone.
If you're going to a metal concert, because there's so many of those happening right now. No. So many metal concerts going on right now. But everybody out there, just remember to love each other if you can.
I feel that would be a weird thing for a metal band to do a concert from home. Although Devin Townsend did it. But
yeah, Devin Townsend's been excelling at that.
Sure.
Lately.
But
he raised a bunch of money for hospitals in Canada.
But I think if you're a band,
it'd be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have like a practice space that you rent, that's pretty doable.
Sure.
If you've got your own practice space and you and the other band members can go in there and probably stream from there. That's, I imagine, more doable than you might think, depending upon the scale of your operation, how big your band is and how big your practice space might be.
There's us from a shipping container.
Yeah. I mean, that's maybe not a shipping container, but like there's bands I've seen where their practice space is, a deluxe sized storage, storage compartment building area thing.
We had something like that when I lived in Atlanta.
Yeah. What do they call? I mean, there's like storage containers. What do you call it when you rent a space to store extra stuff? What is it? It's a rent of something. Rental storage. I don't know why.
A storage unit.
Yeah, there we go. Sweet Lord. Why is that so difficult to remember?
I don't know why you lost that word.
A storage unit. Yeah, I've seen bands where their practice space is like a deluxe sized storage unit, and they mount some soundproofing in there so they can record demos, basically.
We had a storage when I was in a band, a storage area. It was once a restaurant and bar.
Wow.
And it was called DR Enterprise.
How large was this area?
It was fairly big. Now, on the we rented it. It had electricity, but that's it. It had no running water, no heat, none of that. But it did have a stove with a thing that went out so you could bring wood in and heat the place that way. And somebody had been storing
because
pelts
that's
in there.
Totally what you need to do. And did you said this was in Atlanta, right?
No, this one was here. This was here. This was out next to the Speedway.
Okay, this was in Minot.
Yeah, and it had a lot of pelts in barrels. It was just barrels of dead rabbits.
That's interesting.
So that's what we called the place for a long time.
It was called Dead Rabbits.
Called the Dead Rabbit.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder, just barrels and barrels of rabbit skins.
Yeah, and we had to remove them. We had to,
like, were they bad? Had they gone bad?
Oh yeah, it was terribly stinky.
So like someone had skinned a bunch of rabbits, put the furs and the pelts in these barrels, but they had not bothered to get them tanned first.
Right? No, it wasn't. These weren't to be used. They were just discarding rabbits.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
Although, like, I don't know around here who you can sell I guess I actually do kind of know around here who you could potentially sell fur to, because there is a fashion designer in town who uses pelts sourced from hunting.
She does.
And she makes very interesting garments, whether you're, what your views on the ethical values of that, whatever they might be. At the very least, the fur is getting used. It's not getting thrown away.
I've known her since she was a kid. And I've seen pictures of her, very pretty, very happy. And then, her as a child, little smiles and holding a carcass. Great.
There are pictures of me doing that.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm sure you were very pretty as well.
Yeah, I was very pretty. I had all my makeup on. And holding a deer by the antlers.
Sure.
Although I'm not the kind of person that puts that shit on my Tinder, because that's
on your Tinder.
That's just what, as I understand, men in this area do on their Tinder profiles.
They put carcasses in there.
And there's a decent section of women in this area as well.
Sure.
That a number of their profile pictures will be them holding a dead deer and posing with a dead deer. And I'll take a picture with that for posterity's sake, because it's I did this thing. It was, I enjoy hunting. I like hunting. And I believe, with as fucked up as our ecology is in North America, and as badly as we've rat fucked it by eliminating so many predators, hunting is a fairly necessary part of maintaining a certain level of balance, at least while human beings are still around.
Yeah, in fact, that was in Yellowstone. They noticed that a lot of the bushes and smaller trees were just disappearing once they got rid of the wolves.
Yeah.
That's because they had too many things that were rutting on them.
Yeah, there were too many elk and deer, and I guess wolves don't normally take down buffalo, although it does happen.
There's been,
scenes in many a nature documentary.
Especially the small ones.
Yeah. Or old and sick ones. But in places where you can't hunt, that's when you reintroduce the predators that would be there. And that's what they've done in Yellowstone and other parks across the country, is reintroduce the predators that would normally be there. And if you're in a place where you don't want to do that for safety concerns, then you should be okay with a little bit of hunting, or you should be okay with the government spending money on sending people to do it themselves.
Right.
Because that's the alternative. People paying for a hunting license makes the government money. The government sending people out to kill those animals spends the money. So I don't know. That's my views on conservation are their own thing, I guess. But
I feel like they should introduce predators into the city.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Just have some wolves running around.
No, not wolves. I mean,
not wolves.
Predators.
Oh, like the aliens.
Yeah.
With the mandibles and the plasma casters. Hell yeah. I'm down with that.
What the fuck are you?
I mean, have you not seen Predator 2? That's exactly what happened.
It is.
They introduced a predator to the city.
And Danny Glover
beat its ass.
Yeah, eventually.
Danny Glover kicked its ass and got a kick-ass flintlock pistol out of it for his trouble. So, I mean, spoilers for Predator 2 if you haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it 30 years ago.
Man, Gary Busey was fucking wild. And I mean, Gary Busey's always been wild, but that he was kind of crazy in that movie. Although it's sort of, it's funny. His death scene is remarkably weird, because he gets cut in half by like that bladed disc that the predator throws. He gets cut in half, and you see his legs drop away without his torso, which begs the question: what the fuck happened to his torso?
Was he hanging on to something?
Well, it was in a meat locker.
I don't remember.
So
he might have been.
I can't remember if there was an implication that maybe his torso fell onto one of the meat hooks or something, but like his torso never falls into camera frame, but his legs do.
It's another one of those movies I saw in the theater and then didn't ever see again.
Well, Predator 2's never on TV.
Right.
The original Predator is on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Predator 2 is almost never on the television. And possibly it's because it's not seen as much of a classic as the first one is. Right. But I would like to see Predator 2 more on that, because it's a good movie in its own right.
I'd like to see Predator versus Jason.
Yes, Predator versus Jason.
Yeah.
They should have made, and then we should have Alien versus Freddy.
Alien versus Freddy.
Alien versus Freddy.
Mercury.
Yes. Yes. Xenomorphs versus Freddie Mercury.
They reanimated the dead body of Freddie Mercury, and he's going to face the Xenomorphs in an epic battle.
Yes, an extremely, extremely epic battle for the ages. Yeah. I just sprayed my cat without even looking at it.
I know, that was pretty impressive. Well, and she saw you. She knew what was what. She hightailed it before you even hit it.
She knew what was up. She knows. She knows the score. She knows what's up. So speaking of what's up, all of the craziness aside, what have you been doing in the last week?
Doing a lot of yard work. Got a shitload of stuff done. We got a garden planted. A lot of mowing. I told you I got a new lawnmower, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, I got a new lawn. Now, my old lawnmower was 4 wheels, a blade, a Briggs & Stratton motor, and some gas, and that was it.
It's a classic combo.
Classic combo. The new one has all that, plus my mortal fucking enemy, a bag.
Oh, what's wrong with bags?
What's wrong with bags?
Other than you have to take them off and empty them.
There you go. That's it.
Just the main thing.
I hate that shit. Well, because, every 5 minutes I got to stop the mower. I got to detach the bag. I got to empty it into the thing.
What would you do with your clippings before?
I just let them lie on the grass.
Just leave them?
Don't give a shit.
Well, think about it this way. Using the bags can help support your gardening endeavors. Make a mulch pile.
Yeah.
And put your grass clippings in there.
Yeah.
Nah.
No.
Don't want to do that?
No, we buy special chemicals to feed the garden.
Ah, okay. But then you could have special chemicals and lovely rotting grass.
The smell.
The smell of rotting grass.
Everybody loves that.
There's such rotting anything is disgusting, but there is such a big difference between the smell of fresh cut grass and the smell of rotten grass.
Right.
I remember I was hanging out with one of my classmates who his dad was a mechanic, and we were in the mechanics shop, and there was a lawnmower that he was fixing or something like that, and there was a ton of rotted grass caked up on the inside of this lawnmower, and it smelled awful.
Right.
And I think I re-encountered that smell several times when I worked for the local high school in my hometown, helping out the custodians during the summer. And the thing is I think the most disgusting thing I've ever smelled was at the baseball field, because one of the garbage cans at the baseball field was a cesspit, really, is what it was, because not only was it host to a decent amount of rotten grass clippings, it was also host to a large number of piss-filled bottles.
Nice.
Because baseball players, even high school baseball players, cannot be bothered to walk 20 feet up to the bathroom from the dugout. They got to pee in the bottle. And I had to empty those garbage cans, and it was incredibly disgusting. Incredibly disgusting.
Sounds terrible.
I think I chewed out one of my friends who was a baseball player after that. It's just what the fuck is wrong with you people? It's high school baseball. Who gives a shit? Go take a piss.
Or piss in the dirt.
Well, you're at a public sporting event. There's parents and children watching.
I would go out onto the baseball diamond
and just take a big old piss.
Yeah, just take a big old piss.
A big old piss.
I have to bat in 2 turns. We're not even in the outfield.
Yeah. That confused me and disgusted me. But yeah, I've had a pretty slow week, I guess. Started a new D&D campaign that I'm playing in. That was fun. Getting to play as a bard for the very first time.
Nice.
Figuring out how all that works, because I'm pretty good. I know what I'm doing when I'm playing a paladin or a fighter or barbarian. I play a lot of martial classes generally.
Sure.
Most of the spellcasters I've played for extended period of time. I played a cleric for a while. I played 2 different clerics, and then I played a sorcerer. I've never really gotten to play as a wizard very much. And warlock is kind of its own bag of worms, but
sure.
I've never touched bard, and it's just been fun because I am using a very sort of posh British accent, and it's fun to be able to do that. It's always fun doing. I'm not doing foppish dandy though.
Oh my!
No, that'd be a little too humorous. I think for the tone of the campaign we're playing.
I had a friend of mine and we talked about this magic item before. He actually had one for his bard, a cloak of billowing.
Yes, cloak of billowing is great.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe I'll see if I can get one of those in that campaign. But we will find out. I'm playing a very combat focused bard, or at least I will.
Combat bard.
Yeah. So there's multiple different bard colleges.
Sure.
There's your very standard I think it's called College of Lore, which they are bards that go across the world and collect folklore and stories and magic and spells and all that sort of thing. They're your folksy storyteller, and then you've got like College of Valor, which is a skald. That's a person who writes down the great deeds of warriors and whatnot. And then there's a couple of newer ones that got introduced in the book called Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And one of them is College of Swords, which is like I guess the best, like Inigo Montoya, essentially. Like that kind of bard. Lots of mildly swashbuckling and a focus on, like, one of their main abilities is several different kinds of flourish that provide you with certain advantages in combat.
A very dramatic swashbuckler.
Yes. A duelist with a flair for the theatrical, essentially, is what that bard college is. So I wanted to go for that one because I wanted to play a bard, but also our party did not really have any frontline combat characters other than an NPC that's with us.
Really?
So
the bard is the frontline combat character.
Out of the player characters, we also have a barbarian that that's the NPC is a barbarian that can do some heavy lifting, and our DM is very good at basically creating a player, like PC class NPCs, where like they're not out of the monster manual, they're player character builds, but they're not a member of the party per se,
right?
They're not going to be interrupting and talking and all that sort of thing. And this guy is literally mute.
Really?
So it's like he playing a DM PC can be very can be problematic at times because it can take some agency away from your players.
Sure. And
the easiest way to prevent that from happening is, this guy is a mute.
Yeah. He has no tongue.
He can't talk and doesn't care. The character art is Mads Mikkelsen's character from Valhalla Rising, who is a mute.
Right.
That movie is trippy as hell. It's decent. A lot of people don't like that movie. I thought it was all right. I think that's the only Nicholas Winding Refn movie I watched all the way through.
Really?
I tried to watch Neon Demon and was just like, this is a little too weird. It's a little too weird.
I've never seen any of his movies all the way through at all.
At some point, I should watch Drive. That's his most famous one.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that the one, the most recent Drive, or the Drive that was really pretentious and won Academy Awards and shit?
Yes.
No. Drive. Talking about the one with what the hell is his name? Canadian.
It's that one.
Yeah. Okay.
He was in the new Blade Runner.
Yeah.
That guy. Why can't Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling. Thank you.
Yeah, I like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I was thinking about the Drive that came out like 2005.
I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah. It was really trying hard to be topical.
Oh, are you thinking of Crash?
Oh, you're right. I am thinking of Crash.
Yeah, because when you mentioned Academy Awards, I was like, I think Drive won some awards.
Yeah,
it was a critical darling at the very least.
Crash, I was thinking of.
Yeah, Crash is maybe a bad topic for this week in particular. So let's not get into that. But no, I like, quickly before we get to sleep, I want to talk about I like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
He is. I remember the first thing I saw him in was an episode of what's that? Goosebumps.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on Goosebumps, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think that my favorite movie I've seen him in is Lars and the Real Girl.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I love that movie. It is like, you hear the premise and you're like, wow, that sounds like a really weird, sort of uncomfortable movie. It's a guy who thinks this sex doll is a real person. Like that's got to be kind of weird and gross. No, it's an incredibly like sweet and heartwarming and like innocent movie about like mental illness and family dynamics, and it's a wonderful, wonderful film, and nothing about it is gross or like inappropriate really, other than the knowledge that this doll was meant to be used as a sex doll.
But he's not having sex with the doll.
He is not having sex with it. It's just I love that movie. It's incredibly charming. Plus it's got an actor in it that I'd love to see in more. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but it was Mark Brandanowitz from Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to see him in more movies.
Yep.
And also, I think that his character's wife is the 14th Doctor. It's the lady one.
Wow.
It's an interesting movie. I recommend it to everyone.
Okay.
Speaking of stuff I recommend to everyone, sleep. And I'm not just talking about when you lay down in your bed at night.
Yeah.
Talking about a doom metal power trio from, I believe, Oakland, California. Let me check on that really quick. From San Jose,
California. Not Oakland. Yeah.
Not Oakland, but they are from San Jose is still Bay Area, isn't it? Is it?
It's north of LA.
Okay.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't mention here necessarily where. They formed from a previous band called Asbestos Death.
Yeah, Asbestos Death.
They
were a 4-piece.
Yes, which included Al Cisneros and Chris Hackius. I believe I'm saying that right. And then when did Matt Pike join up? At some point they ran into Mac Pike. Mac tonight.
Yeah, and Chris was on the first Sleep album.
Yes.
But then disappeared physically.
And just like...
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you not thinking? Because I think he was the drummer on Dope Smoker.
Was he the drummer?
I think
Okay, no, I'm thinking of the other guy.
Al Cisneros? There's only ever been 3 people. I mean, there was
they were a 4-piece in the first album.
Yes. Well, there was Justin Marler, who
Volume 1 or whatever.
Let me look at the timeline here. I actually have reference sheets for this because Sleep is a band with interesting history. Justin Marler was
Marler. That's who it was.
I cannot. This used to be color coded, but I printed it in black and white, so I'm not actually sure what instrument he played.
He was a guitar player.
He was a guitar player.
Justin Marler. That's who left.
All right.
And ended up in an Alaskan monastery.
Okay, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Given Sleep's weird proclivity for mixing lyrics that are explicitly about marijuana with religion, like pseudo or quasi-religious lyrics that featured on quite a few of their albums. I think starting with Holy Mountain. Probably the first time they used
their second album.
Yes. And it was their second full album, and also theoretically their last between that one and
Dope
the Sciences. Dope Smoker never got an official release while they were together.
Really?
Dope Smoker.
I thought that came out in 2008.
The album label, the Tale of Dope Smoker, right? We're getting into this part of their history because I think you can't really talk about Sleep in an introductory sense without talking about Dope Smoker. So basically the Tale of Dope Smoker, they came out with Holy Mountain. They were on Earache Records. And it was a real big success, critical success and commercial success as far as, stoner rock goes. And they had sort of started working on what would become Dope Smoker at around that time, and then spent like another 2 years sort of riding out their contract with Earache because they thought they could do better. And in fact, they could. London Records wanted to sign them. And so when they were done with Earache, they got signed on to London Records, which was a much bigger company at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
not anymore.
Yeah, I don't believe they are they still around? I don't know.
I've heard of Earache.
But at any rate, they gave them an advance, and the joke I always hear is that they spent it all on weed. Really, the evidence that I've seen anyway indicates that they spent a lot of it just paying off debts that they had.
Mm-hmm.
But they were promised when they signed on complete creative control, and so they're like, cool, this 63-minute long song that we've been working on for the last 2 years finally has a home. And so they finally got around to recording Dope Smoker. They sent it off to the record label, and the record label said, what the fuck? And refused to put it out as it was, and had someone remix it. The band said, how dare you? You don't get to do that to our shit. And eventually it just resulted in a huge falling out between them and the record label, and the band themselves decided, fuck it, we're done. And this was, I think, this was 1998 when that happened.
Oh, wow.
And they had been, they had put out some recordings and I think some EPs. Let me look at the timeline of stuff that they released. Let's see. Sleep's Holy Mountain came out in 1992.
Yep.
And the next full album that would be released while they were actually together was The Sciences. So Dope Smoker has gone by a couple of different names. It was sometimes called Jerusalem at certain points, and I believe the remixed version that the record label wanted to put out ended up being called Jerusalem, but they didn't really know what to do it. And so the primary versions of Dope Smoker that were available for quite some time were bootlegs, essentially.
Oh, wow.
And like,
I didn't know that.
Remixes that fans put together trying to make it back into the cohesive, hour-long album that it was. And the release in 2003 at that time, which was like the first basically official release, whatever contract stuff I think had lapsed. And so the albums kind of became available for people to do their own releases of, and a whole bunch of people did. And one of the releases, I believe it was Music Cartel, released it in 2003, and that one got, was a huge critical success. And then the next big full release of Dope Smoker was in 2012. After Sleep had already kind of been back in the saddle for a couple of years, doing some sporadic live shows, but that was Southern Lord Records, and I think that was, I don't know how involved they were in the re-release of that, other than like, hey, we want to do a re-release of Dope Smoker, and the band was like, cool. And that one, I think at this time is the most famous of them, and that's the one that you can find on most streaming services. And that one was released, I believe, with Dope Smoker as one track, and all of Holy Mountain as another track.
Wow.
And so that's the version that you can find on Spotify at the very least, and that's the one that I've listened to. So yeah, they had broke up in 1998 and sort of split off into different projects. Chris Heckius and Al Cisneros went on to form a band called Ohm, which is closer to what Sleep was than what Matt Pike would go on to do, which was High on Fire,
right?
Which is a much, at least from what I've listened to of them, generally a much higher energy sort of sludge metal band.
Yeah.
Higher energy. There's still some songs that you could definitely call doom metal, but nothing is as slow and nothing is as slow and contemplative, perhaps, but not in like the super into, like Sleep is not contemplative in the really intellectual sense. It's contemplative in the "whoa, dude" sense. That's really what Sleep is like, and Ohm is a bit closer to that. Ohm also carries over a lot of the sort of religious imagery that Sleep would like to use. A lot of their more recent album covers all feature artwork, like Greek Orthodox or Eastern Orthodox artwork.
Is it Ohm? Is it like the measure of resistance, or is it the meditative vocalization?
That one. I think it might actually be derived from some. I was looking at it earlier today, and it seems to. I think it might be derived from like a Greek word or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But I've listened to just a little bit of them, and it's good stuff. I've listened to a little bit more High on Fire. That's really good stuff. And High on Fire is what gave us Mastodon.
Yeah, they all met at a High on Fire concert.
So that's we have Matt Pike to thank for that. Amongst many other things we have to thank Matt Pike for. So they got back together in 2009 to do a couple of sporadic reunion shows. After the first couple of reunion shows, Chris Hiatus decided to retire.
The bass player.
The drummer. He decided to retire. He wanted to start a family and that sort of thing. And so they were joined by Jason Roeder, who is best known as the drummer for Neurosis.
Sure.
And he joined up with them and has been drumming with them ever since, or at least until their most recent hiatus that they declared at the end of last year, the end of 2019. And they declared that one indefinite, so who knows when we're going to be getting more of anything from Sleep. But they gave us the Sciences in this period. And like 2012, alongside like the release of Dope Smoker, they had released one new song, the name of which escapes me. I think non-album tracks. Here we go. Yeah, The Clarity, that they released on Adult Swim singles program in 2014. I don't think I've actually listened to their singles they put out, because they also put a single out in 2017 called Leagues Beneath that I don't think I've listened to. But they put those out, and also in their reunion shows, they played for the very first time a song that's on this album called Antarctican's Thawed, which they wrote at the same time as Dope Smoker. And that one's very apparent because that is the only song that features the type of vocal that Al used on Dope Smoker, which is a sort of throaty bellow, versus his much more understated and much more relaxed vocal that he does. He's hardly even singing, really, on a lot of these. It's kind of speak singing.
And there's a lot of effects on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not, I mean, a decent amount. It's not quite like the next album that I have in mind with Empress Rising, where that's, oh God, Monolord uses a lot of effects on their vocals. And I like it, but I think Al's voice is a little bit more unaffected and a little bit more clear on this one. But yeah, that one, like, you listen to it, and at least me knowing what I know about Sleep, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like it was recorded at the same time or written at the same time. They didn't record it, I think, until they started working on the Sciences.
This session, yeah.
Yeah, so the Sciences was considered their comeback album. It did really well for them. Everyone was really, really fucking excited about it, as they should be, because, hey, it's new Sleep. You haven't gotten any new things from this band in over, at that point, in almost 20 years.
We haven't had any sleep in 20 years.
Yeah, I've not slept since I was 4 years old. But yeah, this came out in 2018 on Third Man Records. It's 53 minutes long. There are, 5 songs? 6 songs?
6 songs, yeah, I think.
Including the intro. Yeah, there are 6 tracks.
6 tracks. You can call the first one a song.
The intro, which is the title track, that is mostly just
feedback.
3 minutes of feedback. The last 30 seconds, I think, there's some keyboard tone there. There's kind of this ethereal sort of keyboard chord, perhaps you could call it, because it's just one sustained couple of notes together, I think. And that leads into what is the thesis statement for Sleep as a band, I think, which is Marijuana Knots theme.
Yes.
Which opens up with the wonderful sound of a chunky bong rip.
Indeed.
Because they want you to know what they're all about.
In case you didn't get it by the name or the sound,
this is what they do.
This is about smoking pot.
This, like, I love how completely unashamed they are of that. It's just like, we write about weed. That's what we do. And it's not even really a joke. Like, you've got like Cannabis Corpse. That's a joke band. That's a band.
They're good.
Yeah. Yeah. But like the name of the band and the lyrics are one enduring shit post, essentially.
Sure. Yeah.
Versus with Sleep, it's just like, yeah, this is what we know about, so we're gonna write about it. I think Al in particular is a very experienced. You could call him a psychonaut, I think.
Yeah.
I did see some video, I can't remember from when, of them playing a certain song, and they were supposed to go on much later that night, and so Al decided that would be a good time for him to do a little bit of mescaline.
Oh yeah, mescaline. Wasn't peyote?
I think it was mescaline is what I saw in the comments of that. He decided that it was since they weren't going to be on for a couple hours, he was going to have a good time. Turns out some other band dropped out and they were going to go on. And so he's there performing, playing bass and singing, but there is just nothing going on behind his eyes. And he is practically falling over on stage and still playing just fine.
Perfectly.
But you can see whatever there is, he's operating on muscle memory alone because there is nothing going on in his brain right now other than probably some very vibrant colors. I guess I don't know what the hell mescaline does to you, but
I'll make some calls.
Is DMT is derived from peyote, isn't it?
Dimethyltryptamine.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's derived.
I feel like that's the one of the active ingredients in peyote, although, or maybe I'm getting it confused with ayahuasca.
Yeah. Yes.
My limited knowledge of psychedelics. But yeah, that's how the album opens. It's a thesis statement, and then it launches straight into just very chunky, classic, vintage riffs from Sleep, because these guys are, other than consummate potheads, also huge gear nerds, and they really, really love just old ass amplifiers, and God, I love the guitar tones. It's a doom metal band. If you have a bad guitar tone, you're not going to make it.
In my opinion, the guitar tone is the star of this album.
It really is. You can kind of forget about the vocals. You can forget about the lyrics. And honestly, not having heard so from anyone in the band necessarily, but I think that's kind of the point. I think the lyrics and the singing are just there for the texture. Really, the star of the show is the instruments and the guitar tone, and the songwriting. That's the star of the show here, and it's good stuff. It pulls you into the atmosphere of it if you let it anyway. If you're busy with other stuff, it's fine to have it on the background. But if you just sit down and listen to it, you start to feel high. That's the magic of this band, I think, is if you sit down and pay attention, you will enter a state, I think, even if you are completely sober. So what do you like before this week necessarily, and before, because we've talked about Sleep and Matt Pike and Al Cisneros and whatnot many times, both on this program and at work. Like what was your knowledge of Sleep outside of this sphere?
I had heard their first album, and mainly a lot. Was it Dragonaut?
Yeah.
It was their single off of that. I'd heard that many times, and I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you aware of the whole crazy debacle with Dope Smoker?
No,
I had anything
no
about
idea.
that.
No.
Yeah, it's and me going I didn't know anything about Sleep until I think I saw the kind of hilarious band photo that they took in probably 2012. Maybe it was when they got back together in 2009. There was this hilarious band photo that looks like a mid-90s family portrait where they're all
cleaned
wearing,
up. Yeah.
They're all cleaned up and shaved, and they're wearing these red turtlenecks, and it's weird to see Al Cisneros with no facial hair, because normally he has this huge bushy wizard beard.
Yeah.
And he's clean shaven, and this hair in a ponytail, and just this very serious look on his face. Or maybe that was one of the other members of the band. Matt Pike is just looks like he's spacing off
and has a shirt on.
Yeah, he has a shirt on, which is that is, I mean, an enduring meme about Matt Pike, and it is for a reason, because at least when he's performing music, it is exceedingly rare to see him wear a shirt, no matter what sort of physical state he is in at the time. Right now, he's in pretty good shape.
Sure.
And in, the late 90s, early 2000s was also in pretty good shape. From about, 2010 to the last couple of years, Matt's health was less than ideal.
Yeah.
He was drinking way too much, probably eating way too much, and ended up having to have a toe amputated.
Really? I didn't know either.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was. I think that was due to gout, actually.
Wow.
Might have been. He had such horrible gout, they had to amputate his toe.
I made a bunch of money from gout.
How did you make a bunch of money from gout?
Well, I was working in radio. I was a news guy on the weekend on a local AM station. And there's a guy, his name is Mark, and they talk like this. And his gout would flare up, and he'd be doing the morning show while I was doing the news. And he'd say, "Hey, kid, how'd you like to make $50?
Okay.
What's wrong?" "My gout's flaring up. I can't handle it. I'll give you cash. You do double duty." You go, "Thanks, Mark. Yeah, whatever. I'm fucking broke."
I'll pay you to do my job.
Yeah.
Well,
what he did.
Because I imagine at this point, radio was still actually a slightly more active job.
Well, yeah, it was live. I mean, radio, you had to push all the buttons to make everything go.
Was this still during the era of carts?
Yeah.
Okay. When did that change over? When did they stop using carts at radio stations? Or at least in your career?
In my purview, it was the late 90s.
Okay. When it went to digital programming?
Yeah, we actually got the RCS system, and it was early, and it was a big touchscreen.
Yeah.
And it was
okay.
Yeah, it was really gross too. I mean, it was
early 2000s touch screens is such a particular,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw a touch screen and I thought, that's a piece of shit.
Yeah, these were CRT touchscreens.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How the fuck there's a big old, are there magnets in CRT screens?
There
Well, I
have
know
to be,
you put up a magnet against it and it'll do some fucky shit.
Yeah.
But I imagine it's probably magnetism that's how regular touchscreens work. Is your body generates an electromagnetic field and the touchscreen is able to detect that, right?
Right.
So that's how it would work with that. But I've never heard of a CRT touchscreen.
Yeah, it was a CRT touchscreen on the left and not on the right. But the one on the left, okay, now mind you know how DJs are, how great our hygiene.
Oh, yeah.
So you go in there.
We're an exceptionally clean bunch.
You go in there and there'll be like some sort of a weird yellow stain on it. There's a booger in the corner.
God, these last 3 months are probably the cleanest any of our hands have been in years.
Oh, yeah.
In years. But God, that sounds disgusting. Like touch screens in general for things that are a desktop, I think is useless.
Right. It was. I mean, we had a mouse. You could have just used the fucking mouse.
Yeah.
And the fun thing is that the touchscreen function went through a cable that plugged into the back of the monitor for some reason. So you could go in and look over somebody's monitor and at them and say, "Hey, how's it going?" And they'd be in the middle of a song. "Oh, pretty good." You just unplug their shit.
Oh, my God.
And then next thing you know, they'd be going,
"Why is this not working?"
They'd be tapping their finger on it like machine gun fast. "What? It stopped!"
Trying to desperately going like, "Oh God, is the mic closed? Is the mic closed or open? I just said fuck."
Oh, that was another thing I used to do. Believe me, I will never do this to you because it is fucked up. It was Paul.
Also, you are well aware of the amount of anxiety I experience on a daily basis, so that would be incredibly cruel of you.
I went into Paul's studio. Paul had stepped out for a moment through the back door of the studio, and I went in, and everything was in program because we did live radio.
Yeah.
And I just went, turned on his microphone and left.
You're a fucking asshole.
So he came walking in. What the fuck is?
Oh.
Oh, realize his mic's on.
You are such an asshole. Or you were such an asshole. A bigger asshole than you are now. How's that sound? We'll find a middle ground.
I've mellowed.
You've mellowed.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want a mellowed asshole.
Yeah. You
Really let that stuff marinate. That's funny though. But anyway, yeah, Matt Pike lost a toe to gout. I might be talking out of my ass there. I do know he lost a toe.
Because you lose it like might be diabetes. I mean,
it might also be diabetes.
Diabetes.
But or both, who knows? At any rate, he has since cleaned up a little bit. I think he's a vegetarian now.
Wow.
And I believe he quit drinking and is now, like a lot of people in his business and his age that have quit drinking, is now relying on pot.
Oh yeah. If I can't imagine quitting drinking completely. How would I get to sleep at night? Yeah, I would have to.
I don't know.
Hey kids, I can take the garbage out. Dad, why do you take the garbage out every night? They only come twice a week. Oh, you gotta take the garbage out.
Gotta step outside for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll be back in.
I'll be back. You sound like you're already high at that point. Is the thing. I don't know. I mean, like I when all the COVID shit started, I kind of noticed that I had been drinking a bit too often. Because that normally, like with me, I don't drink a lot, but when I am drinking, I tend to drink more often than I ought to. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to quit going to the liquor store for anything other than beer for the podcast.
Sure.
And I feel like I've honestly been sleeping better. But it was like a little bit of a challenge. And this happened to me in college too. Cause like my senior year of college, it was like, oh, I'll have a glass of whiskey before bed. It also helped me because I wouldn't go to sleep until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
Because I didn't have any classes in the morning and I could do that. Senior year of college was kind of academically it wasn't a mess, but as far as like my sleep schedule and personal health goes,
where do you keep your diploma? I haven't seen it around for some reason.
Yep.
Do people know about that? What happened?
Oh yeah, we've talked about that before. I think
you're a credit.
Some
Reddit shy.
Some like that. That's kind of an anxiety thing almost too. Is just like I should go and do this. It's going to be easy.
You could get it. Just log it onto the internet.
I can do it super easy.
Couple of $100,
but I haven't done it. So
one credit.
I know. I'm paying student loans. Anyway, so we have not talked about our criteria yet. Do you think this album slaps?
I don't know if it slaps.
I know that's what I wrote down. ...
Slap. I mean, this is a great guitar sound.
Absolutely, this is a fantastic sounding album.
It drills, it grinds, but I don't know if it.
Yeah. It's I definitely it grinds. It's fuzzy and crispy and warm in all the right ways. This doesn't slap.
No,
it's not supposed to slap. It's stoner metal.
Right.
Stoner metal. If stoner metal slaps, is it really stoner metal?
And honestly, if something had slapped me while I was listening to this, okay, this happened to be several. I imagine this is possibly the album that I've listened to the most out of all the albums that we've listened to.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you listen to it for more than a couple of minutes and you forget you're listening to it.
Yeah.
That happens. And then I go, well, I need to know what that song was. I need to drill it back 15 fucking minutes because
you weren't paying attention.
I wasn't paying attention.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of a good thing because your brain just kind of gets in sync with it. To the point where you're just like you vibe with it. And I think that's what it's designed to do. I mean, it is stoner metal after all. If you're not vibing with it, then what the hell is it good for? It's made by stoners for stoners. So it's exactly
by children for children.
It's exactly the sort of thing that it's supposed to do, I suppose. I think it's successful at that. And generally, like, as long as you keep yourself from spacing out every couple of minutes, because again, it's doom metal. So like a riff will last for like 2 minutes before the riff changes. So if you know,
often way longer,
often quite a bit longer than that. So if you heard the first part of the riff, congratulations, you've heard the last part of the riff. Just with some variations there, maybe the lead probably changes up a little bit. Most of because since Matt Pike is the lead guitarist, a lot of the
only guitarist,
and the only guitarist, a lot of the heavy lifting is for the rhythm section is of course done by the bass. This is an extremely bass heavy album,
and I'm actually impressed at how they did this to where they could reproduce it live. Because a lot of times if the rhythm guitar drops out so there can be a lead, the rhythm guitar is gone. It's just bass now. Because a lot of bands will say, no, we need to still have the guitar riff under it, and then we'll have the same guitar player play the lead.
Yeah.
But no, they don't do that.
Yeah, they know they're a 3-piece, and they know they're going to be touring extensively. So why the fuck are you going to do something in the studio that people want to like? That I mean, I applaud bands for pushing themselves creatively, but like it can be a bit of a problem when you do something that's really, really cool that you could do live, but you can't simply because you don't have the personnel.
Sure.
That I'm not a fan of that, which was up until it was, I think, a big problem with Cattle Decapitation up until the last couple of years when they hired a rhythm guitarist, because before that they were a 4-piece. And yeah, they were a 4-piece. They performed live as a 4-piece. It was Travis on vocals, and then the only guitarist was Josh Elmore was the only guitarist, and there's a lot of like all of the solos and whatnot on Cattle Decapitation songs are underscored with the rhythm guitar. It's all the rhythm guitar is always present. It never drops out because he's got to change into a solo now. There's always lead and rhythm at the same time. And so I don't know if they played with a backing track live. There are some bands who do that, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it feels so much better when you know all of the sound you are hearing is being generated on the spot.
Right now. I used to love that too. When, I'd have a poster on my wall. When I was a teenager, I had metal posters. Really just, I cut out a page from Hit Parader or whatever.
Yeah.
And I taped it to my wall. And he'd say, I love this band. There's 4 guys in there. They're rocking. It's awesome. Oh, here's some concert footage. There's like 8 guys in the band there. Wow, what the fuck is going on?
That's weird.
Who's that guy?
Who are all these extra people? Yeah. I mean, you can have Slipknot where there's always been 8 guys.
Right.
Well, I don't know how many former members of Slipknot there are other than the band member who passed away.
Sure. Bass player again.
But there's been a very wide selection of people that have been in Slipknot. I was in Slipknot at one point.
You just wore somebody else's mask.
They gave me a baseball bat and I hit a
keg.
Not even the keg guys were there.
Yeah.
They gave me a piece of IKEA furniture that I had to smash on stage.
A baby.
Oh, Jesus, no. Well, there was a baby there, but he was one of the other percussionists.
Yeah. Also had a mask on.
Yeah. But the thing is the mask was like a baby doll's face.
Sure. Ugh.
It was a real live baby wearing a mask of a doll's face.
Nightmare.
It was really messed up, but hey, it's a metal band. Come on. Slipknot in the early 2000s. I was also 7 when this happened.
Sure.
When I was in Slipknot. But
second grade. You put off second grade to tour with Slipknot.
Yeah. It was a hell of a time. Did a lot of drugs, had a lot of sex.
Coke and bitches.
Yeah, it's really what it was all about,
Came back straight into 3rd grade.
And then I went back into 3rd grade, and it took me a little bit to catch up. Sure. Also, the coming down off of all the drugs was a real problem, and having to get used to not getting all the ladies, all the bitches that I wanted. But hey, God. There should be a book called When I Was in Slipknot.
Yeah.
And it's just by whomever is the least known member of Slipknot.
Carla.
We didn't even know there was a woman in Slipknot.
I didn't even know. She slipped right through.
Hey. Give Loudwire something else to talk about other than Corey Taylor. Oh boy. But I have no idea what we were talking about.
I don't know
beforehand, but I was able to find a score on this. Metacritic gave it an 84. A whole bunch of other publications gave it very high marks. This was a huge critical success for Sleep. Basically, it was kind of heralded by a lot of publications as the king is back. The kings of Stoner Doom have returned, and this is their decree. And lo, the decree was good. The gods of all Stonerdom have returned and blessed us with some dank, sticky, icky riffs. There is a recurring lyric on the album that refers to a riff tree. I think it's mentioned a riff tree. I think I've no idea what a riff tree is. Nope. Plenty of on the Marijuana Knots theme, mentions of hashteroids. Hashteroids, which is of course an asteroid made of hash. And just that's the sort of lyrics that you can expect. Also, again, pseudo-religious lyrics, lots of mention.
Talking about Zion.
Zion.
You can look it, but you can't see it.
You can't see it because you're stoned as fuck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you expect at Sleep? Come on. So what's your favorite song on here?
Track 3, I think.
Sonic Titan.
Sonic Titan.
Fucking the second half of Sonic Titan. Because I love the first riff, which comprises the first 6 minutes of the song.
Yeah.
I really like that riff. But then like the riff breaks down, that movement of the song is done, and the riff sort of breaks down and very slowly morphs into a my knowledge of guitar signal chains is lacking here, but the in between section where it's just
like a bridge of some sort.
I mean, there's a bridge where the guitar tone is very different, and then when the riff comes back in full force, it is far louder. Like I think the middle section, maybe it was they were playing it only through a couple channels on the amps.
Sure.
You're looking at me and grinning because I'm talking entirely out of my ass because I don't know anything about amplifiers.
It's all right.
But the guitar tone is different, and then they press some sort of button and it hits you like the
fuck you button.
They hit the fuck you button, and the riff just comes back and smashes you in the face like a fucking train. And that Sonic Titan is such an appropriate name for that song. It is so massive. It just it is like a giant, a huge Titan just stomping you. It's not a slap, it's a stomp.
It's a stomp.
You got stomped on. So what medal are you giving this?
Okay. Until I can listen to this when I'm high out of my mind, I'm gonna have to give it a silver.
Okay.
Because it ended up not being my cup of tea a lot.
All right.
Because it was I kept it's the same note for 6 minutes. But if I imagine what's going to happen is I'm going to smoke something sticky and icky, and then listen to this again and go, oh, all right, okay.
I mean, as someone who did listen to half of Dope Smoker in Vegas while I had consumed some edibles, you can definitely their music is something that definitely does gain a lot of benefit from that sort of state. Although I think I was just too tired and too relaxed to really be getting the most out of it, because I was like, I can't pay attention to this. I want to take a nap. I'm going to listen to the new episode of The Adventure Zone instead. And so that's what I did. And I was in the middle of listening to it when my dad and my brother-in-law rudely interrupted my nap by bursting into the room and scaring the ever living shit out of me.
I just love that about you, man. You went to Vegas so you could nap and listen to the Adventure Zone.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Vegas because I was like, oh, I can drink and the weed is legal now. And I can do all this stuff. And I kind of found out like, it's not really for me.
Yeah.
The half of the trip that my parents took after I went home is the part that I would have been interested in, which is going to national parks in the Southwest.
Sure.
And looking at all the pretty sights, because that's the kind of person I am. When I go on vacation, I want to go see museums and national parks. I'm not interested in casinos and parties and whatnot. I'm a boring person.
I'm kind of the same. I really am.
Yeah. I don't want to be around all the people.
We took our honeymoon in Yellowstone.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Where'd you stay?
In a tent.
You camped.
For a week we stayed in a tent. And it was weird. It was in this campground that was like almost, I'd say 60-degree slope.
Oh, wow.
And so we had to put rocks under half the legs of everything we had.
Oh, wow.
So we had a little propane Coleman and
hell yeah. That's the life right there. Come on, man.
Drove into West Yellowstone to buy beer and wine.
Nice. Yes. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, I think. I guess I didn't mention I'm giving this a gold.
Yeah.
I really dig this. This is an album that I'm always in the mood for this. There's very rare, there's an album that someday maybe we'll talk about, or maybe we'll listen to for the podcast, which is Mirror Reaper by Bell Witch.
Yeah.
That one, I have to be in a really good mood. I have to be in a really good mood to be able to mentally withstand that.
Or you have to be in a raging bad mood.
Yeah, if I was in an energetic bad mood, I could listen to that and maybe it would calm me down. If I'm already kind of depressed or anxious, that is going to make things exponentially worse. That happened to me a couple of weeks ago where it's just like, I was listen to Bell Witch. And then I was completely fucking disassociated the rest of the day. Just staring off into the distance thinking, fuck, okay. This is it, isn't it? All right. Is this all there is? That was an awful day for me. And, amongst Sleep's other parts of their discography, I'm not always in the mood to listen to Dope Smoker. It is, as much as I like it and appreciate the artistic intent of it and the work that went into it and the 2 middle fingers raised high to their record label, I am not always in the mood for Dope Smoker. It is a very if you're not in the right mood, it can be an extremely labor intensive listen. So this is something from Sleep that I can pretty much always listen to. And I love the hell out of it for that.
All right.
Giving it a gold. Next week, what are we doing? I believe we're continuing the doom metal bender for a little while longer.
The doom metal bender. I'm going to recommend an album that was not considered their best album, but considered a good album. It's Shades of God by
Paradise
Lost. Geez, holy Murphy. Yeah, Paradise Lost.
It's a good thing you mentioned that to me earlier today. Yeah, Paradise Lost next week. It's a band that I've been aware of for a while, mostly because I started listening to Bloodbath at one point, and Nick Holmes is now also the vocalist for Bloodbath.
This album's from 1992.
This is from, they've been around for a while. I forget that Paradise Lost has been around for a long time. Also, very lucky that they're the ones who got to lay the claim on the name Paradise Lost for a metal band. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were 8 other bands at the time using that name, and they were just the ones who made it.
Paradise Lost Finland.
Yeah. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
They were just the ones from the UK.
Right.
There was one in every country probably.
Yeah, because that was the band Wrathchild. I remember that.
Something.
There was a band called Wrathchild in America, and then another band in Wrathchild in the UK. I had to go, fine, you got it first. We're Wrathchild UK. That was the name of their band.
I love that when there's the UK's in parentheses. So that's next week. Paradise Lost. I'm excited for it. Until next week, then you can follow us on our social media pages. We'll update episodes for you. What's up?
No, it was the other way around. I'm sorry. I forgot. It was Wrathchild America.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones. Did they put US in parentheses or did they put America in parentheses?
No parentheses. Just Wrathchild America.
Wrathchild America. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Anyway.
But yeah, check out our social media pages. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We'll post new episodes there. Other than that, we're on Libsyn and we're on iTunes, whatever service you would prefer. If you got an iOS device, there you go. We're already on your phone. And until then, I guess everybody stay safe. And like I said earlier, to quote the good folks from Critical Role, don't forget somebody. Yeah, don't forget to love each other if you can. Stay safe if you're out there protesting on the street. And like I said, remember to love each other and look out for each other if that's what you're out there doing. Anyway, thanks for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.